Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. I know him. I got to know about Prabhuji through my godbrother Amanda Vikrama Prabhu, who lives in Ireland, and so we kindly invited him as a guest speaker this evening with us. So Jyoti Mataji, if you be so kind to give Prabhu the co-host access, so in case if Prabhu needs to share his screen or Vedabase, he can share it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming this evening and giving us your association. I'm sure devotees will really appreciate hearing from you, and especially on this particular verse today from Srimad Bhagavatam. So you're now co-host, and very warm welcome to Chat Plus program. This is something we've been doing since lockdown. We started Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu, and then after the Bhagavad Gita got finished, like one verse at a time, we completed the Gita. Well, finish is not the right word. We completed the Bhagavad Gita because you can never finish with the Gita. And now we have started Bhagavatam doing a similar thing. So that program of the Gita was called Chad chapter a day of Gita, and this is called Chad Plus. Plus is basically for Srimad Bhagavatam. So yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Divyanam Prabhu, for inviting me to this glorious satsang. I see there are 35 participants here, which is amazing, I would say, in terms of the number of devotees who are here gathered together to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I think it is really wonderful that this is happening. So congratulations to you, Divyanam Prabhu, and to each and everyone here who are engaged in this great transcendental online association. Yeah, I'm really glad that I can be a part of this today. So Divyanam Prabhu had mentioned to me that the discussion for today's Chad Plus session is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 31. So before we discuss this verse, we can say the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I will say as we do generally. So I'll say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and please everyone repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Prabhu, normally devotees say it behind the muted mic, so that's how the recitation also works. Otherwise, what happens is there is a lot of thing, but I can repeat after you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 31, and I will share the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. I think we are not doing the reciting back, so I will just read and then we can discuss. Antarbahishcha lokam strin paryemi askandita pratah anugrahan mahavishnur avighata gatihi kvachit. Antarbahishcha lokam strin paryemi askandita vratah anugrahan mahavishnur avighata gatihi kvachit. Antarbahishcha lokam strin paryemi askandita vratah anugraham mahavishnur avighata gatihi kvachit. Word by word, antaha in the transcendental world, bahi in the material world, cha and. Lokan, planets. Treen, 3 divisions. Paryemi, travel. Askandita, unbroken. Vrataha, vow. Anugrahat, by the costless mercy. Mahavishnoh, of the Mahavishnu. Karanodakshai Vishnu. Avighata, without restriction. Gatihi, entrance. Kvachit, at any time. Translation. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I traveled everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 divisions of the material spheres, namely the Urdhva Loka, topmost planets, Madhya Loka, midway planets, and Adholoka, downward planets. Beyond the Urdhva Loka planets, that is to say above the Brahmaloka, are the material coverings of the universes. And above that is a spiritual sky, which is unlimited in expansion, containing unlimited self-illuminated Vaikuntha planets inhabited by God Himself, along with His associates, who are all eternally liberated living entities. Sri Narada Muni could enter all these planets in both the material and spiritual spheres without restriction, as much as the Almighty Lord is free to move personally in any part of His creation. In the material world, the living beings are influenced by the 3 modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Sri Narada Muni is transcendental to all these material modes, and thus he can travel everywhere unrestricted. He is a liberated spaceman. The costless mercy of Lord Vishnu is unparalleled, and such mercy is perceived by the devotees only by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, the devotees never fall down, but the materialists, i.e. the fruitive workers and the speculative philosophers, do fall down, being forced by the respective modes of nature. The rishis, as above mentioned, cannot enter into the transcendental world like Narada. This fact is disclosed in the Narasimha Purana. The rishis like Marichi are authorities in fruitive work, and rishis like Sanaka and Sanatana are authorities in philosophical speculations. But Sri Narada Muni is the prime authority for transcendental devotional service of the Lord. All the great authorities in the devotional service of the Lord follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni in the order of the Narada Bhakti Sutra. And therefore, all the devotees of the Lord are unhesitatingly qualified to enter into the kingdom of God, which is Vaikuntha. Okay. Before we discuss on this verse, let me offer some prayers. Om Jnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Shreshtham Manamapi Shachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Mathurim Goshthavati Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Adadandastranam Dante Idam Yachah Punah Punah Shriman Rupa Padam Bhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 31. Antarbahishcha lokam string paryemi askandita vrataha anugrahan mahavishnur avighata gati kvachit. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. So here, one of the most important things that we can understand is the total 100% absorption of Sri Narada Muni on the lotus feet of the Lord. So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindeyo, Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane, Karo Harer Mandiram Marjanadishu, Shrutim Chakara Achyuta Sat Kathodaya. It is mentioned about Sri Ambarish Maharaj. So his mind was always absorbed in the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindeyo. So that is what Sri Narada Muni mentions in his definition of bhakti as well. So Sri Narada Muni says, Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Rochyate. When the senses are engaged in the service of the master of the senses, that is bhakti. Bhakti paresha anubhava viraktir anyatra syat. So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that what is bhakti? Bhakti is the experience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Para isha anubhava. So the experience, anubhava is experience. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is experienced, that is the devotional service, pure devotional service. Viraktir anyatra syat. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is experienced, automatically there is renunciation from everything else. So prapadyamanasya yadashnutasyu tushti pushti kshudapaya nugasham. So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that just like when we eat the food, three things happen simultaneously when we eat the food. One is tushti. So our hunger is getting satisfied. Another is pushti. We are getting nourished. And the third thing that happens is kshudapaya anugasham. So first of all, we feel happy that we got the food. Then we feel nourished. And then we feel that the hunger has been dealt with. So this is what happens when one eats the food. So similarly, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that when there is pure devotional service to the Lord, this pure devotional service, experience of the Lord, para isha anubhava, and viraktir anyatra syat, the renunciation from everything else that is not related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically these three things happen simultaneously. Just like when we eat the food, the three things happen simultaneously. Similarly, when we are involved in, so this is the important thing is the absorption in a loving devotional service of the Lord. And how can the absorption happen when the mind is involved in the Lord? Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and this is one of the most confidential verses of Bhagavad Gita as well. So Krishna says to Arjuna that give your mind to me, man mana bhava, become my devotee, mad bhakta, madhyaji mam namaskuru. Offer your prayers to me, offer your to me. Mame vaishyasi satyam te. So Krishna says to Arjuna that surely you will come back to me, Arjuna. And why I'm telling this to you, Arjuna? Pratijane priyosime. Because you're so dear to me, Arjuna, I'm telling this to you that please give your mind to me. So that is the, coming back to the definition of Narada Muni's bhakti statement, the first statement that Narada Muni says is Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam. So first, one has to give up all material designations. And that is very difficult. So Narad Muni personally has gone through that journey. We see in this particular chapter about how this wonderful journey of Sri Narad Muni is. Like he was cursed to become the son of a maidservant because in his previous life he had offended the devotees. And then when he was the son of the maidservant, he was totally engrossed in serving the devotees of the Lord. So this is the Mahat Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimukte, Tamodar Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangha, Mahantasche Samachitta Prashanda, Vimanvaya Suhrido Sadhova. So this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that the door to liberation is when one is serving the devotees of the Lord. Mahat Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimukte, Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangha. And the door to hell is unfortunately when one is attached to the people, unfortunately, in the mode of passion and ignorance. So that is mentioned in this verse. Srila Prabhupada actually mentions, in the material world, the living beings are influenced by the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Sri Narada Muni is transcendental to all these material modes, and thus he can travel anywhere unrestricted. He is liberated spaceman. The costless mercy of Lord Vishnu is unparalleled, and such mercy is perceived by the devotees only by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, the devotees never fall down, but the materialists, i.e., the fruitive workers and speculative philosophers, do fall down, being forced by their respective modes of nature. So here, it is mentioned, there is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Ashanta, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ateva Shanta. So it is mentioned about, so Bhukti Kami, the people who are attached to sense gratification, they are called Bhukti. So they are after sense enjoyment. So in the material, and it is, that's why the material, that's why everyone is coming and in the material world and getting the material body, because that sense of enjoyment in the material body has not been relinquished. Until and unless one comes to the most important point of understanding Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam, that Sri Narada Muni mentions in the definition of bhakti. That is the first point. That is a starting point in spiritual, in the move towards back to Godhead. When one very clearly understands that I have nothing to do with this external body or the mind. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin, nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya, ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So Krishna mentions to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, what is our original constitutional position? It is that we are not someone who have taken birth and who will die. No, that is our body, and body na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata ubhayorapi drishtantastva tattvadarshibhi. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that what is constantly changing, that is not eternal. Eternal is something that exists irrespective of everything else. And that we are, Tattvamasi. That is a Veda Vakya. Aham Brahmasmi. So that understanding, when we understand that very clearly, so that is Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam. But unfortunately, when we take birth in this material world, immediately there is Upadhi. Immediately there is designation. So if I take birth in India, immediately I'm called an Indian. If I take birth in America, I'll be called American. So that immediately the national designation has come in. And of course, I'm son and daughter of so and so. Then I've got this brother, this sister. Continuous accumulation of upadhis. And then when one gets degrees, one adds the degrees to their name. So it's continuous accumulation. So as long as we are accumulating upadhis, unfortunately, bhakti would be a little bit far away. So the real bhakti starts when all these designations are taken away. So I'm trying to understand, who am I? Kastvam koham kuta ayata, kame janani kame tata. So this is said by Srila Shankaracharya in Bhaja Govinda. So this is the beginning of spiritual life. When we try to understand who we really are. So then Krishna mentions Mama eva amsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manaha shashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that all the living entities in this whole universe are my eternal part and parcels. Mama eva amsha. Eternally, each and every living entity in this. Sarva yonishu kontaya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. So Krishna says that I am the seed-giving father and the material nature is the mother. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the supreme father of all the living entities in this. Sarva yonishu is not only the human beings, all living beings, this whole universe. So they are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. Then what is the reason that there is this struggle in this material universe? Manaha shashtani indriyani. When we identify ourselves with the mind and the five senses, and the mind is called the sixth sense, because wherever the mind goes, all the five senses will go. And that's why that beautiful verse from Srila, it is mentioned about Ambarish Maharaj, Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindyo. His mind was always absorbed in the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the starting point when we understand our original, who we are. Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam. So what happens when we take away all the designations, upadhis, tat paratvena nirmalam? Then we understand our pure nature. What is our pure nature? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Na shochati na kankshati. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. So that is the tat paratvena nirmalam. What is that? The Brahma Bhuta. When we understand that I have nothing to do with this external body, external mind, external intelligence, the false ego is also false. It is not. So there is a real ego. What is a real ego? The real ego is the understanding that I am eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is real ego. What is false ego? The false ego is this thinking that I am this. I am this body. That is false ego. So it is a material world we are in. So there is a reason why it is called material world, because it is made up of matter. So what we see in this material world is only matter, even though spirit is the basis of matter. So what is the difference between a person who is live and a person who is dead? There is something that is missing, because of which a living person who was breathing, whose heart was beating, who was talking, who was hearing, who was doing so many things, and immediately next moment, body is not moving, nothing is happening. What is the difference? Why is that happening? Because it is the presence of the spirit soul, and that spirit soul is providing the consciousness, and that is what is our original nature. That is Satchidananda. So as Krishna, as it is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So it is mentioned Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. And what is his form? His form is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, truth, eternality, and bliss. So he is ever existing, blissful personality of Godhead. And because we are Amsha, we are minute part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we also have that in minute proportion. So that when we understand the Brahma Bhuta stage, when we understand who we really are, then there is Prasannatma. One is in a blissful state. Why is one in a blissful state? Because na shochati, na kankshati. So there is, when we get this body, when we have the mind, when we have the intelligence, when we have the false ego, what is happening is there is kamna and there is shok. So kankshati. So kamna or kankshati is that I'm hankering. So because the body and mind is based on matter, and the matter is getting attracted to matter. So basically, there is always this hankering that I do not have this, I do not have that. So then I run after getting that, whatever I don't have. And then I might get it. And if I get it, I might be happy for some time. But does that happiness last? How long does it last? What if I get something? How long does that happiness last? It's not eternal. It lasts for some time, and then again that happiness goes. It's like a small child. Small kids, they see lots of, if they go to a toy store, they would see lots of toys and they want all those toys. And then the parents will say, no, you take this or you take that. We can't take so many of them. So they will take the toy, they will come to home. How long will they play with the toy for? Probably a few days. And then that's it. The toy will be at one place and the child will do something else. And then again, this starts. Again, a new toy. So it's exactly the same thing that happens when people grow up as well, except that the toy is replaced by some other thing, which we feel is really something substantial. But actually, the real happiness is always there within. So that's why it's called Ramante Yogina Anante, Satyanande Chidatmani, Iti Rama Padenaso Param Brahma Abhidiyate. So it is mentioned about, that's why the name of Sri Rama is there. Rama means the person who is giving the bliss constantly out. That is Sri Rama. So when a yogi, a bhakti yogi, is constantly enjoying the bliss within. Ramante Yogina Anante Satyanande Chidatmani. So this is the Apuryamanam Achalam Pratishtam Samudram Apa Pravishanti Yadvat Tadvat Kamayam Pravishanti Sarve Sa Shantim Apnoti Na Kama Kami. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the example of how the waves are coming in the ocean. Like for example, what is ocean? Ocean is an amalgamation of different rivers coming in together, and then it becomes an ocean. So what is happening in the ocean? Lots of water keeps on coming, and it keeps on making the ocean that it is, and the waves keep on coming. So Krishna gives the example of the ocean, the continuous water streams that are coming into the ocean. So similarly, the desires keep coming in the conditioned state that the living entity is in. The continuous streams of desires will keep coming. Sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. So what one has to do when one is focused on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that is a higher taste. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya deina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So when one sees, one gets experience, that is para isha anubhava. So when one experiences that higher taste, automatically the lower tastes are given up. Bhakti parishanubhava viraktir anyatrasyat esha trishayikakal. So that is what we are calling Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati. So because of that, even though these desires are coming, it's not having an effect on the person, because the person is already in that blissful state, which actually it is said that what is the reason? Like for example, someone gets hankering for something. What is happening when we are getting hankering for something? We are already placed in our most blissful situation. So we go out of our most blissful situation. That means it is hankering. What happens when we get something? Oh, I got it. We go back to our blissful place. So the bliss is always there. We don't need to go out and come back. It's always there. It is accessible within. So there is an example that is given is if someone is staying in a very hot place and they are under the tree, under the shelter of a tree. But if they decide that I want to go out and I want to get something else, so they will go out and then they will feel the sun. And then again, if there is a shade of the tree, they will feel very nice. So what is it? Being in the shade of the tree is always there. So that is the example that is given. So coming back to this verse, we are nearly there, I think, in terms of the time that is dedicated to this talk. So coming back to the four Sanskrit lines that we have here, Antar Bahishcha Lokam Stream. So, Antar Bahishcha Lokam Stream. So Srila Narada Muni is going within the transcendental world, Anta and Bahi, in the material world as well, Pariyemi Askandita Vrata. And he is traveling unbroken in the vow. And how is he traveling? Anugrahan Mahavishnu. By the causeless mercy of Mahavishnu, Avighata Gati Kvachit. Without restriction, he can travel anywhere, any place, any time. So this is what is the reason that Srila Narada Muni is able to do this? It is his total absorption in the lotus feet of the Lord. And when that absorption in the lotus feet of the Lord is there, then all these powers become secondary. This is a huge, this is a supernatural power that Narada Muni has. And how does he use this supernatural power? He's always engaged in saying Narayan, Narayan, and he's blissful in chanting the names of Sri Narayana, and always engaging in activities that are related to Sri Narayana and making others devotees of Sri Narayana. So we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever devotees have been made, they have been made by Sri Narada Muni, including the great Vyasadeva himself. We see. So Vyasadeva, after compiling so many Vedas and everything else, he still feels dissatisfied. Then it says, Kim va Bhagavata Dharmana Prayana Nirupita Priya Paramahamsa Namta Evahi Achyuta Priya. So then that idea comes to him through Narada Muni that I should write this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is direct glorification of Sri Krishna. And why I should write? Because it is Priya Paramahamsanam. It is very dear to the swan-like devotees of the Lord. Ta evahi Achyuta Priya. And it is also very dear to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Achyuta himself. So to conclude, we'll just read this verse again. Antar Bahishcha Lokam Stream, Pariyemi Askandita Vrata, Anugrahan Mahavishnur, Avighata Gati Kvachit. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. So thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu, Krishne Matirastu, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If there is any comments or discussions or questions, let's take it. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, I feel that I was thirsty, and really it's quenched my thirst of transcendental knowledge. It's really, I really feel, that you are really serving so nicely to your Guru Maharaj by reciting this Bhagavatam so nicely. I have just one question. How do we really absorb in the lotus feet of Krishna? I know for me, it's just the word, but how do I really absorb myself into lotus feet of Krishna? Please guide me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Palika Devi Mataji, for your wonderful question. I would say that I am probably not totally qualified to answer this, but one of the most important thing is to, so Krishna actually mentions Ananya Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Pariupasate Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nityasha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasa Yogina. So the most important thing in terms of concentration is even that 1 second, if we can make it 100%, that is Ananya. That is Ananya for that 1 second. Because the problem with the mind is, the mind does not stay. Even Arjuna concedes this. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayu riva sudushkaram. So Arjuna actually concedes that to Krishna, that and Arjuna, who is Arjuna? He is Godakesha. He is someone who has actually conquered sleep as well. And he is saying that it's difficult for me to control my mind. So, so the starting point of becoming absorbed in the lotus feet of the Lord is that even for that one moment, if we can become 100% absorbed, that is Ananya Cheta. And now that one moment, if we continue that moment of absorptions continuously, so that is Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. In terms of the Ashtanga Yoga that Patanjali mentions, the last three stages are Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And what is the difference in the Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi? It is the level of absorption and the constancy of that absorption. So the constancy in Samadhi, the constancy of absorption is such that a person is never not thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord. That is a transcendental state. But of course, it starts with that moment. And so if for a moment we can be totally absorbed, 100% absorbed, and if we keep increasing that moment by moment absorption, I think it will help us a lot. And that's what Krishna mentions when he's saying Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nityasha. So Krishna says that constantly in the mind, Ananya Cheta Satatam. Again, he uses constantly again. Mam Smarati Nityasha. Nityasha is again constantly. So the word constantly is being used in different ways by Krishna. Ananya, and the mind is saying Cheta, mind. Chetasa Sarva Karmani Mai Sanyasya Matpara. Buddhi Yoga Mupashritya Machitta Satatam Bhava. Machitta Sarva Durgani Matprasadat Tarishyasi. Atha Chetvam Mahankaran Shoshyasi Vinashyasi. So Krishna says many times about the mind, giving the mind to him. So, and it's very easy as well to actually give him mind, because the way Krishna attracts everyone through his wonderful pastimes, it is very natural for the mind to get attracted to Krishna. And that would be the starting point, Mataji. So this, as actually Krishna says, Mam Smarati Nityasha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. So Krishna actually says that for such a person, I am very easily available. Why? Because Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. Because such a person is constantly trying to remember me. So for such a person, I'm very easily available. So hopefully I've answered a little bit, Palaki, Devi Mataji.
Thank you so much. I just feel, I think our chanting has to be very pure. If the chanting is pure, I feel then, you can concentrate on the lotus feet of Krishna, and then it will develop. But, to make the chanting so pure, I don't think I have that quality, So, thank you for your guidance. And it's really, I'm sure everybody has appreciated the knowledge you have and how you can recite one verse to another to sort of, make the statement, whatever the statement you made. And you just, covered it with so many slokas. I can see the natural, very wonderful, very, very pure devotee. Thank you for the association. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. It's costless mercy of Srila Prabhupada and all the Guru Vargas, Mataji. Otherwise, a person like me cannot do anything really. So as they say, Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Girim. Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande. Shri Gurum Dina Tarinam. It's basically the costless mercy of the Guru Varga that I'm able to do this. A person who cannot speak can speak. So it is basically, it's exactly that, basically. So thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. That's what I felt as well. You are very well versed, and yeah, you delivered the class so beautifully. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you. It's a great, it's really a pleasure to be part of this wonderful satsang of devotees. It's rare, as we know. The material, Krishna mentions Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhe Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tatvata. So billions of people. Out of that, few try to attain perfection, and then out of the people who want to attain perfection, very few know Krishna as, like, try to understand Krishna. I think that itself is a wonderful, because yeah, even it's interesting. Even Krishna himself, he took the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to see himself through the wonderful eyes of Srimati Radharani. So yeah, it's such a, the depth is fathomless. The bliss of Krishna consciousness, it's never ending. It's really great to be part of this Sangha. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments?
Please come back again. Thank you.
It will be a pleasure, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
I'm not sure what program. Oh, sorry, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much for the wonderful class. It was really amazing. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Jyoti Mataji. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you. I'm not sure what happens in the program. I'm coming here for the
So
first time.
Yes, if there's no more questions or any reflections or anything, then we can end the class now. We can end it with the prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shall we?
Yeah, we can just pray Vanchakalpatarubhyascha.
Yes, Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Oh, Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can we say
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Wonderful class.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Glories to the assembled
Prabhuji.
devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can we just say one prayer, please, for Sali Agrawal has left the body today?
Sure, sure.
Please, I think we should, if possible, we should just say a prayer. She was a very important person in Srila Prabhupada's journey into US. So we could just say one prayer for her, please.
What should we chant? Hare Krishna?
Yeah, just maybe just Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times would be nice.
Yeah, let's do it together, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare, Ram
Hare Hare.
Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you for the praise.
Thank you very much, Shailesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.